Hello! It's Thursday, and we are doing the Holiday Live series, Simplify Your Life. Okay, so just give me a second. I just have to share in the group the link so I don't forget. There we go. Do, do, do. Give me 1 second. So, how are you guys? Okay, that's done. So it's Thursday, and we are on December 7th, so just a week into December, and so I'm sure that you have all kinds of stuff going on, right? Yep. There's only, I think, like, what, 14 days or something to Christmas and the wonderful holidays. So, all right, let me let you guys jump on. And I love the fact that if you guys aren't, because I know it's like in the middle of the day, so you guys are probably really busy, that you can always do the replay. Okay, but make sure you come back and watch this. Okay, so last week, for the first week, we talked about scheduling your big rocks and figuring out what those big rocks are. Because, and I use the example of Stephen Covey's jar full of like how you put the rocks in and then you put the sand and all that stuff. You have to put the big rocks in first, otherwise nothing else will fit. So you have to make sure that you're focusing on you and you're getting the important stuff done, which is you, because then when you focus on you, then you can better serve everybody around you and not be such a crazy freakazoid. So make sure that you're scheduling in downtime and make sure you're figuring out what it is that you really want to focus on this week and having those in your calendar, because if they're not in your calendar, then the chances of them getting done are like slim to none. So you just want to really pay attention to getting those big rocks in first, getting them scheduled. So that's step one. The next step, and that's why I'm super excited about this, you guys, is to simplify your life. We, being the awesome moms that we strive to be, tend to really overcomplicate things. We just want to make everything awesome, and we end up putting way more on our plate than really needs to be. So it's just a matter of really looking at your life and looking at everything that's going on in the holidays and saying, how could I make this easier? How could I make this simple? And do I really need to do X, Y, or Z? It's a matter of really focusing on your values that you really want to uphold and your traditions that you really love doing with the family and all of that stuff that really lights you up, and kind of shedding and getting rid of the things that bring you down and the things that you dread, and there's like this sense of drudgery around them. So you really want to focus on the things that you enjoy doing, whether that's spending more time with your family or, because here's the thing is that we can have it all. I really believe that we can. Like, we can be an awesome mom, we can be an awesome wife, we can be awesome all these things, we can be an awesome worker at work, we can be an awesome business owner, we can be all these awesome things, except you're going to have to be really particular about where you focus your time and energy in order to be able to have it all. That's really what it comes down to. So as far as, and if you think about it too, the generations and generations and generations of moms have been saying there's not enough time, there's not enough money, there's not enough energy for everything that needs to get done around the holidays. We are not the anomaly here. Like, we women around the world are feeling this like extra pressure, especially around the holidays, to show up and to really make these holidays memorable and to do all these awesome things for our family. So we're not alone, which is awesome, because it's just like, it just really helps to know that we're not alone. But it also really helps to be able to really figure out, like, okay, where is there room in my schedule and in my life right now where I can really simplify things? So there's 5. And I'm just going to go over these briefly because, hey, the beauty of this video is to simplify, right? So I too am simplifying this process. It's not overcomplicated, and you don't have to give a ton of time to even simplifying your life. You can just ask yourself, like, where in my life can it be easier? And the other part of this too. Okay, so there's two things I want to preface this with actually, is that what's going to get in the way of simplifying your life are two things. One is guilt. The mom guilt is inevitable. Remember last week I told you it's no different than leaky boobs with pregnancy. It is going to show up. Mom guilt is a thing and it's going to show up. So just knowing that is one. Second is fear of disappointing others. Those two things are going to get in the way of you simplifying your life. So knowing that, you're totally aware now, and you, when those things pop up, you can be like, I'm not going to buy into this, and I'm not going to let this get in the way of simplifying my life for the holidays. And then just dismiss them. Just say, no, I'm not going to listen to the guilt. I'm not going to be worried about what this person will think or what that person will think or blah, blah, blah. You're just going to do you. So, on a side note, really quick, and I love this. There's this girl, Anna, who actually teaches self-care. She's amazing, and she focuses a lot on like newly single women and like dating yourself. Her brand is amazing. But I was at the retreat, the women's retreat, business retreat this past weekend, and a couple times over the weekend, she had said, "You do you, girl. You do you." So I'm stealing it from her. Thank you, Anna, if you're watching. So you do you. Like, you just have to make sure that you do you and that you are living authentically to how you want the holidays to be and how your family wants the holidays to be. Not getting caught up in all this other stuff of like, oh, well, you got to do this, and oh, the neighbors are doing that, and oh, I need to be doing this. And there tends to be like some kind of competitiveness when it comes around the holidays with moms. And maybe it's just me, but I see it a lot, especially on social media. It's like there's this unspoken competitiveness that we tend to like buy into, even if it's just our neighbors. Like, even if we just throw a couple lights on our bushes and we're like, here, done. And then, oh, we see our neighbors and they have this big extravagant thing that we have to do now. So now we have to run out into the store and buy all this stuff. And hurry up, hubby, hurry up. Put this on the bushes and put this on the windows and do this and do that. It's that unspoken competitiveness that we tend to have. And that comes from fear of showing up to other people and how we look. So who cares if you're not doing X, Y, or Z? Who cares if you end up disappointing other people in your family? Not your immediate family, but who cares if you say no to the 15th holiday party because you're wiped out and your kids don't want to go? Let that be okay. So yes, you just have to give yourself permission to simplify. That all being said, it boils down to you giving yourself permission to say, you know what, I don't have the time, money, and energy this year to do all this like crazy stuff. I'm going to give myself permission to not be a crazy person this year and to really focus on the traditions and the things that our family really loves to do. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's not about the stupid presents. It's not about, the food that was on the table or this or that. It really does boil down to family, and it boils down to being present with your family. If you're running around like a crazy lunatic, you're not going to be showing up the way that your family really wants you to show up, which is loving and kind and essentially what the holidays are really about. Like, to me, the holidays are about love. And yes, you can have these religious beliefs, and Jesus and the Bible and, Saint Nick and all of that stuff that society has kind of told us of what the true meaning is behind everything, behind religion, behind, the stores that they're putting out their ads and all of that. I see, and the way that I approach the holidays, it's all about love. So however that shows up, whether it's showing up to give to a homeless person or just to be nicer or more patient or whatever the case may be, for me, it boils down to love is what the holidays are really, really about. And so every day I have to make sure that I'm staying in alignment with what my big value is throughout the holiday. So there's five ways. So, okay, so let's get into this. I'm sorry, I'm babbling. I get excited. All right, so the first is to give something up. This is a hard one because you have to look at the previous years and say, what hasn't worked? What parts did my kids dread? What parts am I just doing just because everybody else has done or that I've done for years and years and years? So here's an example. It was interesting. So I got divorced in 2006. Um, I had a year-old baby, and my oldest was 10 or 11 years old. And so I had to get into this new mindset of like, okay, so the holidays are not going to look like the way that they did. Now I have to share custody. So the way that me and my ex-husband had set it up was that I was going to get them Christmas Eve and prior to Christmas Eve. So as soon as they got off from school vacation, I'd keep them all the way through Christmas Day at 12 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock, they go to their dad's, and that's it. So, which was perfect because then we have Santa and do all that stuff. And I remember being at my mom's house and being like, okay, now what? Like, now what do we do with ourselves now that there's no kids here on Christmas Day, like that we've been so used to for all these years? And what we did was we started going to the movies. It was me and my brother and my mom, and sometimes my stepdad, I think he went a couple times. And sometimes we didn't even feel like cooking, so we didn't even cook. We just did Chinese food. So I had to be willing, though, to let go of the past and let go of what I felt like the holidays should be or what was working at the time. Well, now it didn't work. So now I had to come up with a new plan. So look back at every holiday that you've had over the last, several years that you've had your kids around and just say, what hasn't worked? What is it that I really am just doing just because I'm just doing and I'm just being a robot that I want to just give up and, just say, okay, I'm done with that. So that's the first one, is just realizing um, that there might be traditions that you're really like clinging to and they don't need to be clung to. You can develop a new one and ask yourself, what are those things? What really means the most to you and your family? And then go do more of that. Maybe it's going for like a morning walk. Maybe it's going out to breakfast on Christmas Day if some restaurants are open. Whatever the case, maybe it's just, of course, doing the presents and all that, but then maybe watching a favorite Christmas movie or whatever. So just don't be boxed in, is my point, when you're really trying to let go of the things that didn't work. And when you're looking at this, like, what could I give up type of deal. The second, I know you guys are badass moms, so this one's going to be hard. Second is ask for help. You are not Superwoman. And you cannot expect your family to be mind readers because they are not mind readers. So you have to be your own advocate and you have to ask and just say, you know what? I can't, like, my plate is freaking full right now and I can't have this on my plate. So here you go. And can you do this? Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It really, really, really is a sign of strength. And you just have to be willing to delegate, knowing though that it's not going to be done exactly the way that you would have done it. That's also the beauty of it. Like, and I know we're kind of control freaks as mom, right? Or is that just me? Okay. So seriously, you just have to be willing to say, this isn't going to be exactly how I would do it, but can you do this for me? Okay, thank you very much. Maybe it's having your kids wrap the other presents themselves, like not for them, obviously, but for the other family members. Or maybe it's a matter of sending your kids up to the attic or down in the basement or in the garage to go get some of that wrapping paper and tags that are in there. Maybe it is having your husband do the cookies this year, or skipping the the Christmas cards. I actually felt like I kind of wanted to do Christmas cards this year, but then I was just like, you know what? It's not going to work out this year. I just don't think it's gonna. And it's okay. I just had to forgive myself. But I told my husband, because he had mentioned it too. I said, if you want to do Christmas cards, you should do them. Like, I will definitely sign and I will be on board. I just can't take that on right now. And you know what? That might change. I might change my mind, but I'm not holding myself to anything right now. So you have to be willing to ask for help, especially if you have older kids. Don't be the mama bear who just tries to take everything on herself and then be resentful. That is just going to get you into some deep doo-doo. So know that your family are not mind readers. and be willing to delegate some of your tasks. Um, okay, so here's another one. Rethink your gifts. This is number 3. Rethink your gifts. Here's what I do when I'm like, Christmas is coming and what do I want to give and where are we and what does each kid get and all that stuff. What I've been doing lately is I really like the idea of having consumable gifts. So something you eat, something you read, something you wear, something you do, an experience of some sort. Whatever that is and however that shows up, it just depends on what your family is and what they really like. Because there's so many people, and myself included, especially when the kids were younger, I had a playroom full of crap that they did not use. Like literally after the first week of Christmas was over and after the novelty of having the gifts was done, bye bye. And or it was broken because I have 2 boys, so they're destructive. So I got to a point where I'm like, what am I doing? And I have a godson who's 5 years old, and I really am adamant about not buying those Fisher Price gifts and all of that kind of stuff that are like trendy. And I try to get him something that will really be memorable and something that he can have not just for when he's 3, 4, 5 years old, but maybe beyond. So ask yourself, what types of experiences um, do your kids or your family members like? Maybe there's a cooking class that your mom would like, or maybe there's an art class that your friend would love, or maybe there's acting classes that somebody said that they would love to take, but they would never buy for themselves. Um, Maybe there's a state park pass that you can buy for somebody who you know for a fact loves hiking, or maybe there's a ski lodge pass that you could buy for those who just love skiing in the wintertime. So it's things like that instead of buying the things that are just going to get just ditched to the side and forgotten about next year. Like if you really think about it, can you really remember like a special gift that you got when you were a kid? And there might be like 1 or 2 that really stands out to you, but for the most part, we forget about that stuff. We totally just completely forget about that stuff because at the end of the day, the material things don't really matter. So give yourself a price limit. And I can tell you what I'm doing this year is, let me think. Okay, yeah, my son's not in this group, thank God. Duh, he's not a mom. um, but what I'm doing for my kids is I'm doing the experience type of stuff, but I'm also giving them cash because they're older, and it like I struggled with that honestly at first. I struggled with saying, okay, like there's not going to be a whole lot, wrapped under the tree, but I'm going to give them cash so that they can do what they want to do because the bottom line is that will make them happy. So even though it might not be the best for me to like not be able to see them open these gifts and all this wrapping paper and the messes and stuff, ultimately it makes them happy. So I'll do 1 or 2 big things, but also just give them cash and just be done with it. Like actually what we do often is we make them go on a scavenger hunt. And so I'll put like a note in the microwave and I'll put um go to the place where we put toast, and I'll put like another note into the toaster oven, and then they'll go grab that one, and then they'll read that one that says go to where we take a shower, and there'll be another note in the shower, like stuff like that. So it's like this cute little scavenger hunt, and I get a kick out of it, and that's how I'm like okay with giving them cash more and more as they get older. So yeah, just rethink it and don't buy into like hearing what your friends and your neighbors and whoever is doing because that's just going to make you feel less than. If money's tight and you can't do a whole lot, let that be okay. It's not a big deal. Really what the holidays are about, and this sounds so cliche, but really what they're about is family and understanding that it's not about the material things, and it's about appreciating your health and who you have around you and sharing yummy food and laughs together, and again experiences. So maybe going on a hike or maybe doing this or that, whatever the case may be. Just rethink your gifts and don't go crazy because your kids are going to grow out of that and they're not going to remember when they're our age. It's just not going to be a big deal. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind that it's not that big of a deal as much as we like to make it be a big deal. Simplicity is key, ladies. Okay. So number 4, quiet that calendar. Zip it. Do not put more and more stuff on your calendar. And this is the season, right? This is the season that we have holiday parties and Christmas parties and business parties and going out to dinner with this person and that person and showing up and doing this and blah, 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 blah. So what I do is I'm really particular about what I attend and what I don't attend. Maybe it's just a matter of picking your favorite ones out, like talking to your husband and saying, okay, we have these Christmas parties coming up. What are our favorite ones to do? And what do we really like to do? Maybe it's just one a week. Maybe it's, and especially if you have multiple kids, like that can get really chaotic when you're trying to show up in every kid's classroom. Maybe it's you just don't do any this year. Maybe it's that you just do one volunteering thing and something else with your husband. Maybe whatever that looks like, you have to be willing to be the controller of your own calendar and your own schedule. Because look, there's people are bombarding you, I'm sure, with all kinds of stuff you could do. Friends are reaching out and saying, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And there's this party, will you come with me? Blah blah blah. You have to control your own calendar, because people are going to offer things, people are going to suggest things, and you're going to feel obligation to do it just because you've probably done it in the past a lot. Be willing just to really look at your calendar really in a strict manner, and be willing to be like, no, nope. Because in order for you to say yes to the things that you really love to do, you have to be willing to say no to the things that you don't want to do. So that's just a really important thing that you just keep in the back of your mind when you're being approached to do these holiday awesome events. That might at first sound like they'd be amazing, but then if you pull it back and say, all right, what would that entail? Would that entail me getting a babysitter and me doing, making a dish, or me finding a new dress? And at the end of the day, if there's that drudgery, if there's like, ugh, it just sounds like an obligation, don't do it. Don't do it, because you're going to feel way better if you say no to those things that you really don't want to do and say yes to the things that you really, truly, truly, truly want to do. Okay. Number 5, and I kind of segued into this, but say no to those activities that you just don't want to do. Yeah, I kind of jumped ahead, but that's okay. I got excited again. So yeah, just pay attention to those activities that are just like, me. Like, yeah, we did it last year and it was okay, but do we really want to do it again this year? Do we really want to put in the effort? And at the end of the day, too, if you want to do it, if it excites you, if it's like a great date night with your hubby and you haven't had one for a while, do it. But again, that goes back to the principle of, in order for you to be able to say yes to the things that you really want to do, you have to be able to say no to the things that you don't want to do, and be unapologetic for it too, because nobody is going to understand where you're coming from. Do not feel like you have to explain, like, oh, I've got this and I've got this and there's just no way we can fit it in. Just say, no, you know what? Thank you so much for the offer, but that's not going to work for me. And be really, really particular. I just did a video yesterday. I had a girlfriend who offered for me to go to her house for a quick lunch break. And I remembered my values, which for this holiday season is to really be adamant about who I'm spending my time with, and, honoring my families and friends, and not doing the things that I don't want to do. And so family and friends is really high up there in these next 4 weeks. So knowing that, and of course I had a ton on my schedule, but I also have to eat. So it's like, well, I need to eat. And what better way to eat than with somebody who I haven't seen in a long time and who I love being around because she's awesome. So again, remember this phrase: in order for you to do the things that you really want to do and say yes to those, you have to be willing to say no to the things that you don't want to do. So I told you guys I was going to give you a gift, and I am super excited about this, you guys, for many reasons. But this is an idea that I've, kind of had in my head, but over the weekend, it was suggested that it absolutely would be an awesome, awesome gift. So remember how earlier I said that You have to be willing to give yourself permission to simplify your life and to say no and to say yes and to do all these things, especially around the holidays, and to cut yourself some slack and to be easier on yourself and not listen to that guilt and not listen to the fear of disappointing others and what will people will say and oh my God, my neighbors and blah, blah, blah. You have to give yourself permission. So I am giving you the gift of permission slips. Yep. You know those stupid little slips that always come home all crumpled up in your kids' backpacks and you're constantly signing them. You give permission to blah, 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 your son or daughter for this, blah, blah, blah. Well, I created them for you guys. And all you have to do is click the link that I put into this live video, pop in your email, and you will get it. Make sure that you do this, guys, and make sure that you print out. So I gave you I think I gave you 6 permission slips for various things, which is super exciting. But then I also have a page back there that that you can actually create on your own and you can fill in the blank. So I would suggest either printing them home, print like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 100 copies if you want to keep them for the next year if you want. If you don't have a printer, then literally all you have to do is take it down to like an Office Max or an Office Depot or Staples or whatever and be like, here, can you print 10 copies of these? And I think they're like 5 or 10 cents a piece. It's nothing. So you'll spend like $1 or $2 to get them printed. But the value you're going to get from them, it's a game changer, guys. It's a game changer. I'm pretty freaking excited about them. So, if you guys have any questions, pop them in here. Put little comments. If you don't have anything right now, then I guess we're going to jump off. Let's see. For some reason, where are my comments? Don't know. I don't see any comments. Don't really know why I'm talking in this accent either. Oh well. Okay. If you do have comments or questions, put them in the comments below and I will certainly get to them. But remember what the holidays are about, guys. Don't overcomplicate this. Really, just enjoy them. Don't fall into the pressure that we hear on the TV, from where we hear from our friends and our family and what everybody else is doing. You do you and don't care about anybody else or what they're doing, because you have your own family and the way that you show up is how you show up. And that is a blessing in itself. And that is what your family wants. They just want you, and they want you to be peaceful and calm and present. They don't want this mom who's like going crazy and stressed out. They don't want that. They don't verbalize that, but that's not what they want. They want the mom who feels like, yeah, I can sit and do a game, or yeah, I can, sit and snuggle and watch a movie and drink hot chocolate, or whatever the case may be. So just don't overcomplicate this. Simplify your life. Be willing to stand up for what you want and what your family wants, and let the rest fall away at the wayside. And don't care what anybody else thinks. Okay, that's all I got, guys. Have an awesome Thursday, and I'm sure I'll be popping in here later. Talk to you later. Bye.